Uh-oh. Well, we have a game 7. Welcome to the Hoops Rehab Show, where we're going to talk about NBA Finals. And of course, what's that jacket there, Eric?
I had to put on the jacket just for the news that I know that everybody knows about, but can't wait to get into that. But I know we're going to save that for a little later. But
a little later, we got to go with the finals first. But yeah, we're definitely going to get into the Bus family selling the Lakers. But as always, everybody, I am the Game Injury Doc, a.k.a. Dr. Evan Jeffries. And on my right is Eric B. Mack. We can be found at our handles here at Game Injury Doc and at Eric B. Mack on all social media platforms. We also have the Hoops Rehab Show on YouTube. Please subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff. We greatly appreciate it. And then we will be uploading the pod after the live show. You can find that anywhere you get your podcasts, and it's called the Hoops Rehab Show. With further ado, let's get into Game 6. Eric, how you doing over there?
Good, man. Real good. We're about to have our 20th ever Game 7 finals. Yep, 20 of them. I don't know if that's a lot or I guess there's been 78, and so 20 of them are going to Game 7, 79 now, I guess. So yeah, man, it was definitely unexpected. I think we both had. I mean, I know you definitely were riding Indiana all series long, and I was kind of riding OKC. Even when it wasn't looking good in Game 4, but I think we kind of both thought that the season would be done tonight, and it was not even close to that, man. It's just crazy. I know we're going to break down quite a bit of the game, and just preliminarily speaking, like Game 7, here we go.
Yeah, I mean, I picked Indiana in 6, which obviously they weren't going to win in 6 unless they would have won Game 4, which they had. And this could have been the championship right here. However, I always thought Indiana would win the series. But when Halliburton got injured and going into this Game 6, I mean, I never expected them to blow out OKC. Not only just win the game. Like, say they won in like the epic Indiana Pacers fashion, right? This whole playoffs. Nope. They literally blew out a team that when you're a dominant team, a number 1 seed, you got somebody on the brinks of elimination, typically you close that off in a Game 6. But I will say, this is where youth showed, and their young age of 25.7, which is the second youngest team since the Blazers about 50 years ago, showed tonight. What do you think of that? What do you think of their mentality not to just come out guns blazing, ready to beat them? I just don't understand that, and I thought they did a poor job of that tonight. Obviously,
yeah. I mean, we didn't think OKC was going to win without reason. I mean, Halliburton's mystery, I guess, if you will, of how he was going to play, and the injury was a big part of it. We didn't think he would. We thought he would suit up, but we thought it might not look pretty. And then, just historically, like the way playoffs go, a lot of times that team with home court, you win that slug it out, right? Like fest in Game 4 where it could have gone either way, and they pulled it out. They really seized control in Game 5, wasn't even close. And you kind of began to think, I mean, it was, got close there in the 4th, of course, a bit, but, towards down the stretch, it wasn't. And then you really were just like, okay, the Thunder, best team all year long. They have to taste it. They have to smell blood. Sure, you got Game 7 in your back pocket at home, but and we've talked about it before. When it comes down to one game, really anything could happen. Someone can have an off shooting night, right? Hopefully no injuries, but something freak thing could happen, right? The longer the series goes for a team that really should be the victor and the team that's the big favorite, the worse it gets for them, because you never know what could happen, if that makes any sense, right? When you're a big favorite, you want to take care of a team as quick as possible, because you get what we get now. So yeah, I am a little shocked. It is a sign of a young team, as you mentioned, a team that hasn't been there before. And yeah, that's just still kind of shocked at. I mean, look. the things Indiana's been doing, I don't think we could be shocked that they won the game. I'm just surprised how the game went, and we pretty much at halftime knew that we were going to be gearing up for 7.
Yeah. I thought, Indiana's defense is what they've been doing all playoffs when they win games, right? They're very scrappy. They're batting at every ball, stealing the ball, forcing turnovers, and that's what they did tonight. And I thought early on in the first half, SGA had so many turnovers. Like, it was just surprising to see him fumble the ball as much as he did. I think that was a crucial mistake as far as just allowing them to take the ball away from him at the time. He had 8 turnovers. Oh, wow. You don't really see that too much out of SGA. So he always has the ball in his hands. However, 8 turnovers in a Game 6 closeout is definitely not what you want to see out of your superstar. And they had a total of 21, right? So you're not going to win the game when you have 20 plus turnovers. Typically, that's normally not going to happen. Another thing I've been harping on OKC, especially this series and then just kind of throughout the playoffs, is at times they get a very ISO-heavy team where it's obviously HGA driven around trying to score. Jalen Williams kind of doing the same on the other end. And then kind of throwing it to Lou Dort to shoot a 3 and he misses, right? So they're not really getting any assists. They had 3 assists with 5.5 minutes left in the third quarter.
Amazing.
They had 3 at halftime, which is already remarkable that they only had 3 assists. But they had 3 with 5.5 minutes, right? They finished the game with 14. Can't really count that because there's a bunch of garbage minutes. But 3 assists at that point. What do you make out of when OKC kind of gets into those ruts where they kind of play such ISO heavy ball?
It's weird. It's one of these things that we've been talking about quite a bit this series, and I guess because they were so dominant in the regular season and then obviously really good. They're a good team. They're going to Game 7 of the NBA Finals, obviously. But it is so interesting that, I don't know, I feel like I could be wrong. I don't see it talked a lot about. I know we've been harping on it, where they really are an ISO ball type of team. The games, they're not going to have like these 30 assist numbers, but the games though that they're at least in the high teens, low 20s, or when they're at their best. And for them to be only at 3 with 5-6 minutes left to go in the third, it really tells you, right? Look, Game 4 was ugly like that too. I think it was at the game that SGA had 0 assists. And so I'm kind of starting to think that was just an outlier, that game. And so, we can go on about Game 4 and talk about how, Indiana probably feels they let that one go away big time now, right? But yeah, and then kind of going back to the turnovers, yes, like these stars that have the ball a lot, there are going to be some turnovers. If 3, 4, 5 turnovers, that's acceptable. But when you get to 8 and Indiana is running and gunning and scoring off them, that's kind of where the tide turned. OKC and Indiana were relatively close in the first. And then in the second, Indiana just poured it on defensively. And then that led to offense, and they were all over the place, and Thunder just could not hit a shot.
Yeah. TJ McConnell probably had the biggest 11 minutes and a half you could ever have, right? Off the bench. What he did in the first half, scrappy as hell, always hitting the elbow shot like he does, kind of dribbling from the other side to the opposite elbow and always making that kind of turnaround fadeaway. What he did was remarkable, and it gave him such a huge spark and literally won them the game in the first half. And number one, it allowed Tyrese Halliburton to kind of get some rest, not play as hard as he needed to. And then, as you saw in that second quarter, that gave him a little burst of speed, and he finally looked healthier, right? In the first quarter, he looked probably 70-80%, wasn't running kind of at full speed. But man, did he pour it on in the second quarter. Even got that steal, turn it on past the Siakam for the dunk, right? He like spins around. Oof, pretty epic, that was a big play. Right? You can tell that he was really into it at that point. Hit a bunch of step back threes, and it was kind of like his game of how he normally plays. And I think that was a big help of TJ McConnell and Obi Toppin, obviously. So their bench stepped up huge, and they needed that, and they will need that in Game 7 again.
If they go on to win the championship, that play is going to be the signature play, I think, for Indiana forever. Because that was amazing. Halliburton passed Siakam, right? And that was the one for the dunk, or he had a
Siakam that was one for the dunk. Yeah, he was getting a steal, kind of passed him from the corner, and then just dunked it on him. So it was pretty remarkable.
Yeah, and Obi Toppin a big 20 points. But I mean, we talked about TJ McConnell in Game 5 quite a bit, how he really played a huge factor in that comeback they had, and so I think Rick Carlisle noticed that and said, "Hey, we got to get him some minutes." And I was thinking, like, we got to see him get 30 minutes. And obviously, the way the game got out of hand, it made things a little different. But his minutes were huge, and I expect nothing less in Game 7. You just need a guy like that. I mean, we know what Caruso means to OKC, and they're obviously different levels to those two players, but it's still they both have that grit. They both have like the stat sheet doesn't always show what they really do out there, and so sometimes it comes down to that. And when you're at home, those others tend to step up, and so we'll see if they can take the show on the road in Game 7.
Yeah, pretty remarkable. I know I don't want to get too ahead of myself when I talk about this, but I was just doing some thinking, since it's now a reality that Indiana can win a Game 7 and win a championship.
Yeah.
Who the hell would be MVP for the Pacers?
Yeah,
like obviously, I think it depends on who dominates Game 7. But like, who's the front runner right now? Because I have one in mind, but I mean, who would you say the front runner is?
I mean, I would say probably Siakam. I feel like he's just been super consistent these whole. I mean, I know it doesn't matter in the playoffs; it's about the finals. I would say him, but I think it's that one time where it's like it could be up for grabs. Where, of course, if we know who's going to win it if OKC wins it, but if Indiana wins it in Game 7 and there's one player that just is outstanding in Game 7. And of course, it has to be like, one of the, like, it can't be Obi Toppin getting like 40 or whatever. And he wouldn't get MVP, most likely that. But you get what I'm trying to say. If it's one of those top 2 or 3 guys, I mean, it's going to be Halliburton or Siakam, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think so.
You would think it's going to be one of those two. I mean, some other guys have contributed, but for like a Finals MVP, it's going to be SGA or one of those two guys, I would say. But it is. I mean, it just shows they're very well balanced, and it would be like a tough decision if and they hope. I'm sure they don't care who it is at this point, because that means they won, right?
Yeah, I don't think it really matters on their end. It just is one of those where
interesting to think. Yeah,
they've had very rarely like 20-point plus score. Siakam's got a couple 20s, and Halliburton had one, but like really just not getting much like that. They're more balanced overall. We got our guy Cam Miller saying TJ McConnell. Now that would be something else. I don't think he gets the MVP, but he for sure will be a huge reason why they win it if they do win Game 7. So
I think out of Halliburton and Siakam, whoever has like the better game, or more has a more of an imprint on Game 7, and they win, then it'll be one of those two. But yeah, TJ McConnell, like maybe he can I don't know, get if they had some kind of trophy for grittiest player or kind of comeback player, right? He's kind of didn't play as much as he had in years past, especially these playoffs, and he stayed ready, as you could see.
Yeah, he's made a hell of a difference